Hello everyone, my name is Srijamya Raghuvanshi. I'm VP Student Affairs at PBSN. Today is our first ever Grab a Coffee With session. Joining us today is an HBA student, Kaiz Alarakiya. He's completing his dual degree at Ivey with Chemical Engineering, and now, not only is he one of the most kind-hearted and sincere person that you'll ever meet, his accomplishments will leave you nonetheless impressed. He spent his second year at Ivey as an HBA being the co-president of the Ivey Consulting Club. He spent his first summer at Mckinsey Company as a summer associate, and now he's joining them as a full-time employee. So, welcome, Kaiz.
Thank you.
Great. So, Kaiz, you came here from all the way from Calgary, Alberta. You're coming to a completely new province, a completely new school. Looking back into your first year, what was your biggest fear?
I think I had a few coming all the way from Calgary, like you said. I think I didn't know a lot of people coming here. I probably knew 2 or 3 that were in upper years that I'd met through this or that, but not really very many people in my year. And so I was afraid that when I came here, I would meet a few people, but I wouldn't really get the full Western experience because I didn't know everyone coming from Ontario. That I wouldn't have the opportunity to meet a lot of people, and if I did meet these people, that we wouldn't get along as well as myself and my friends back home. But I realized as soon as I came here that everybody wanted to make friends. Everybody was excited about different things and passionate about other opportunities. And I just had to find people who had the same passions and same interests as me, and it was very easy to build connections with them. So I think it was a fear that I had coming into the experience, but I think that it was something that I completely forgot about the minute I stepped onto campus.
So what exactly drove you to choose the dual degree program between Ivey and Chemical Engineering?
Sure. So when I was in high school, I was very focused on engineering. I thought, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to work for an engineering company when I graduate, and I had kind of my path laid out for me. And so towards grade 11 and 12, I started to have some business opportunities with Junior Achievement and some other organizations. And I started to realize that business was something that I was passionate about and something that I wanted to think about pursuing in university. And I looked around at lots of different universities, and the only one that offered me the opportunity to do both was Western and Ivey. It was very difficult to find that dual degree opportunity anywhere else, and I thought, coming to a fantastic business school and combining that with my passion for engineering at Western Engineering would be an awesome opportunity. And so I decided that I would come to Western and do the first 2 years in chemical engineering, see how I liked it, and whether I wanted to continue with just engineering or whether I wanted to go into business. And after my first 2 years, I realized that both of these things are still things that I'm passionate about, and I decided that I would go ahead and pursue the dual degree.
So looking back, if you could give 18-year-old Kaiz any kind of advice, what would it be?
So I think that when I was coming into university, I was really concerned about, I have to do this, and then if I do this, then that's going to lead me to this, and I'm going to do this, and it's going to lead me to that, and I had all of my steps planned out to get where I wanted to be. And I think that a better way to go about that would have been to just follow my passion and really just pursue things that I thought were interesting and let everything fall into place. And so I think that if I did it that way, I would have been able to pursue my passions and find my passions a lot quicker and gain more experience in things that I was interested in, rather than following this path that I thought would lead me to where I wanted to go.
So a lot of people walk out of Ivey with drastically different experience. If you think about yourself particularly, what has shaped your Ivey experience as a whole?
So I think that a lot of people have different experiences because there's so many different ways that you can get involved in Ivey. And people have fantastic experiences, but it's just the experience, the things that they're involved with shape what they walk out of Ivey with. And so one of the best pieces of advice that I got coming into Ivey is that I have to know what I want out of it. And some people say that, I want a job out of Ivey, or some people say I just want to meet fantastic people. Some people say I want to change the world and I want to learn how. And depending on your answer to what do you want to get out of Ivey, people have different experiences. And so when I asked myself that question before I walked through those doors, the answer that I got out was that, I kind of wanted a mix of experiences. So I was interested in learning more about like the consulting industry, for example. I wanted to see whether it was something that I was interested in. I wanted to build my network and meet these incredible people who are going to go off and do fantastic things. But I didn't want to forget that I'd come from a background of volunteering and giving back, and I didn't want to forget that and just go straight into the business world and work for the man all the time, right? So I strategically chose the experiences that I was a part of to make sure that I could have a balance of all three. So one of the experiences that I think was really instrumental in shaping my experience was the Ivey Honduras trip. And so Ivey runs this every year, but it's a way for Ivey's mission is, something to contribute to the societies in which we operate. Yeah. And so I wanted to really enact that mission statement. And so we went to Honduras to help set up a microfinance bank and speak to some of the villagers or the Honduras people, the rural communities, about how we could help them inject business and microfinance into their community. And it was a really exciting experience. We were working really hard, but it was so fulfilling to see how much impact we could have. And it made me realize that that's something that I never want to forget about and that I want to continue to be involved with throughout the course of my business career.
Okay, so kind of just taking a step back then.
Sure.
When you think about getting involved in Ivey, the Ivey community on itself is a lot smaller than what you came into from Western.
Right.
So the kind of clubs and opportunities that you took advantage of at Western are very different, drastically different than what you would do in Ivey. How did you feel about that change, going from a campus that involved over 30,000 students to a community that involved maybe 600, 700 students at once?
Right. I think, so there's positive and negatives to both experiences. I think that in the Western environment, you for sure had a little bit more variety and more diversity in terms of the types of clubs that you were joining. Mm-hmm. But I think that in Ivey, you had a select group of people that you were working with that you had the opportunity to have more of an impact on. And so because all of these 600 or 700 people were passionate about the same thing, mm-hmm. you were able to really enact change and have a great impact on these people because they were all interested in business, right? It was something that you could find common ground with and provide opportunities around that common ground to help people have a great experience. Okay. So it's really different from the Western experience, I agree, but I think that it was unique in a way because you already had people that were brought together by something, and now you just had the opportunity to help them, again, just discover their passions and interests and really diversify further within the world of business.
So getting into Mckinsey after your first year at Ivey is a pretty big deal. And I think it's an ambition that a lot of kids who come into Ivey in their first year come in with. So how did you particularly set yourself apart from everyone else who was interested in joining the consulting industry and on top of being recruited by Mckinsey? And what do you think played a crucial role in you setting yourself apart?
I think that specifically for consulting, it's very difficult to, there's no like Western Consulting Club, right? Like there's no you go into this club and that leads to you going into the consulting industry. There's not really a set path for consulting. And I think that it's more important to focus on the types of skills that the consulting industry is looking for. So, and I guess they can be grouped into two main categories, right? So it's like the analytical skills and then it's the soft skills, so that leadership, that teamwork ability that comes from working in groups quite a bit. And so I didn't know very much about the consulting industry coming into Ivey, and I got kind of lucky in that my experiences really fit into these two categories very well. Mm-hmm. So coming from that engineering background, I had some analytical ability and from my past summer jobs, and then from working in so many teams and clubs and organizations in my first 2 years, I had developed those leadership and interpersonal skills that are really important for consulting. And so I think that as a first year or second year student, I think that focusing on those two types of skills are really important. And again, pursuing those in opportunities that you're passionate about, right? Because it's not like you can go into the consulting club and say, okay, so now I'm going to develop my leadership skills and my analytical ability. It's coming and bringing your different experiences and your background that can be really beneficial to consulting and using those analytical and interpersonal skills within something that you're excited about and want to work in.
Okay. Kaiz, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
You as well.
All right, so that wraps up the first coffee session. Stay tuned for more videos. We'll keep you updated.